Another Pulumi example, and this time we're going to show you how to automatically create 3 properties using our new secure by default certificate option. So we have our little Pulumi script here, and what we're going to do, we're going to create these 3 properties with a name and an origin, and I'm using the same origin in this case, but yeah, of course it doesn't matter what kind of origin you use. And we're going to use 3 properties named John, Arno, and Koen, some SEs from the Netherlands. Yeah. So after we have created those properties, we're gonna use those CNAME records we need to create in SDNS to automatically approve the certificate request by Let's Encrypt. Okay, so let's get started. So what we have here is our little Pulumi program. In this case, I'm using Python, but if you want to use JavaScript, TypeScript, or .NET, Go, whatever you want, that's all fine. As you might know, Pulumi is like a wrapper around Terraform, so you can use your own logic around your templates. So what we're doing here, I'm loading this file, put it in a variable, and then we're going to loop through that variable and just going to fill in the template. So we have this template, we're going to create a configuration from it using our pre-configured CP code. Of course, you can also automatically create a CP code. We're using that property origin hostname in our delivery configuration, some SureRoute object. Next, we're going to create an edge hostname using the property name. So this is going to be john.pulumi.nl.edgesuite.net. We're using standard TLS. We make it IPv6 compliant, and we're using some contract ID, group ID, product ID. You need to add that to when you're creating an edge hostname. But we have looked that up before in our code, so that's you can find it in the code. I will post it on GitHub so you can have a look how we get all the information from our contracts, product IDs, etc., etc. Yeah, so after we created this edge hostname, we're going to create a property, and there we're going to use that the rules we created, our edge hostname we have created, and now as the cert provisioning type, we're using the default option, and that's a new secure by default a method you can use, so you don't have to use CPS to create your certificate. When creating your property, the property will create the certificate. Well, let's see how that's going to look. And at the end, what we're going to do is, once we have created this property, we're going to export those we call targets, and targets is actually the CNAME text records or the CNAME records we have to create in your DNS provider. In our case, of course, we're using SDNS. So let's start Pulumi, just do a Pulumi up, and that will create our resources. So what we're going to build is this new, what we call stack, and in this stack we're going to create a couple of resources, 3 edge host names and 3 properties. So John, Arno, and Koen as edge host name, and John, Arno, Koen also as a property. Yeah, so I'm fine with that. Let's go. And now Pulumi is using the Terraform provider to, in this case, first create the edge host names, because it knows I first have to create the edge host names before I can create my my property. So what you see here, the edge host names have been created. So the Pulumi.nl edgesuite.net, and now we also can create the property itself. Yeah, so Arno, John, Koen. You can see here it's being created, and this is also nice. You can see some PAPI responses also in the output. So we're done. So you can see here we have some warnings from our delivery configuration, but that's fine, that's default. And here you can see the output of the stack, and those are the records we need to create in the DNS provider. So in our case, it's DNS. Yeah, so I have 3 properties. I have three host names I need to, or 3 records I need to add to HDNS. Yeah. When we now have a look in, let's go to our property. And what you will see is that new layout, here you can see our properties. So let's take Koen for example. And if we look at the first property version here, our version 1, then you will see that new option part of the secure by default. So what you will see now is this one. So you see, hey, this Edge hostname is now being created, but my certificate needs validation. Yeah, and you can actually see the manual operation. How to do it is validate certificate. So what do I need to do? I need to add this record to my DNS provider. But of course, we're using automation, so we're not going to do this by hand. Let's just use Pulumi for that. So let's go back to our Pulumi script. Here we got the other Pulumi script and Pulumi stack. This is, or actually it's another program with another stack. So this is our dev stack part, of our Pulumi add DNS records. And what this Pulumi script is going to do, we're going to use the output values of our previous stack where we created delivery configuration and use this in this stack. So when we use Pulumi up, it will use the stack reference. So it will use this information. You can actually saw it passing by there. So it's using this information to create my DNS record. So indeed, I have to create 3 DNS records in SDNS. So yes, I'm fine with it. Let's create the records. What we've done, we should have now have 3 records in our HDNS. So let's have a look. It should be this one. Let's do a reload. There we go. So you can see here we have these 3 records have just been created. You can see name 60 and the record data. That's all fine. It's currently in a pending state, so it's being pushed into our HDNS network. So I have to wait like for a minute or something. I have to admit it's pretty quick. Normally it can take some time, but yeah, it might be. I have seen some situations where the certificate was approved before my Edge hostname was applied to the network. So it's really pretty quick. I never had to do like a manual check. So let's have a look here. Maybe it's already there. So check if this one is already active. This one still needs validation. This one is still in pending state. So let's go to the other one. Should be there any minute. Let's take another one just because we can. This one is still in pending state, so we still need to wait for HDNS. Yeah, you can actually see here, this one is already verified, you see? So the certificate is now ready to be deployed, ready to deploy. So it's verified by Let's Encrypt, and here you can see we're still waiting for the Edge hostname to be created, but our certificate is already verified. Yeah, so that's all fine. We didn't push it to production or staging in this case. We just wanted to show you how fast it is. So actually, we just have to wait now for the property the Edge hostname to be active on our platform, and you can push to staging and production. So pretty quick method to create the delivery configuration and create your certificate. Thank you.